I hadn't received this, so I'm just reviewing this real quick. So give me a moment.
Just so the court's aware, I'm gonna put a factual basis on.
I understand, but I haven't received this, so let me just review this real quick and then I'll call the case. So give me just a moment. Yeah. Mr. Tursky, please. All right, thank you. So this is in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kevin Michael Tursky, file number 2024-21956FC. I have Madam Prosecutor Allison Arnold appearing on behalf of the people. I have Salvatore Milaro and Matthew Murphy appearing on behalf of Mr. Tursky. Mr. Tursky is present in person in the courtroom. I have received a packet from Ms. Arnold, and I appreciate that. And part of that was the forensic report, and for some reason I didn't have a copy of it. So thank you for giving me, usually they mail a copy to me, so I don't know where it went. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to review it. I received the report on criminal responsibility. Is there a competency report too, or?
There is not for today's hearing, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge,
we've already placed that on the record and found him incompetent?
Yes, he was found competent.
Found competent.
Down in the district court. He was restored to competence.
Okay. I have a felony information. I have a copy of a police report and a copy of a report from the Lucas County Coroner's Office. So this is the date and time to proceed in this matter. So Ms. Arnold, how would you like to proceed?
Judge, I can put a factual basis on for the plea. There is, first of all, we did nolly count 2, which was charged initially, and then in reviewing the police reports and the later supplements, we don't believe we have an adequate factual basis for that count, so that one has been dismissed. So in terms of the plea today, it's my understanding Mr. Tursky wishes to enter a plea to not guilty by reason of insanity. I think he needs to be read his normal rights as far as that. We do have a stipulation of a settled record for the plea, which are the documents the court referred to.
Can we hold on a second? I'm sorry. Do you need a moment?
Just 1 minute. We're ready.
Okay, you may proceed, Ms.
So
Arnold.
in terms of the settled record, it's my understanding there's a stipulation between the parties to admit people's exhibits 1 through 4 to establish the settled record. Exhibit 1 being the information, the charging document in this matter. Exhibit 2 being the portions of the Lenawee County Sheriff's Office report 24005-463-001 received by both parties. 3 being the autopsy report related to the victim in this matter, Jerry Fike, and 4 being the report of Aaron Sorezny, who is Dr. Aaron Sorezny, who's a licensed psychologist and was the consulting forensic examiner for the the Center for Forensic Psychiatry, and that report is dated 12/2/2024.
All right.
So defense agrees to those stipulations.
Your Honor, we reviewed those. Yes, we do agree to stipulation to those documents at this time.
Okay. So Mr. Murphy and Mr. Milaro, do you wish me to swear your client in and go through his rights with him?
Sure, that'd be fine.
Okay. So Mr. Tursky, you want to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
So Mr. Tursky, have you had ample opportunity to speak with your attorneys?
They just spoke to me just before I came in.
Okay. Have you had enough time to speak with them?
Yeah.
And you understand the nature of the proceedings today?
They told me yes.
Okay. Can you move that microphone a little closer to him, please?
Yes.
Okay, good. Are you satisfied with Mr. Malaro and Mr. Murphy as your attorney and the advice that they have given you?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Now, do you understand from my understanding, it's your intention today to enter a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to go through your rights with you as if, you were going to plead guilty or not guilty or go to trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to go through and make sure you understand all of those rights. Okay. All right. So do you understand that, if a guilty or if I'm not guilty by, okay. So do you understand if you enter a plea today of not guilty by reason of insanity, there will be no jury trial in this matter? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And that means you'll be giving up rights you would have had at a trial. And I'm going to explain those rights to you now. Okay. All right. You have a right to a speedy public trial by jury. You may ask for a non-jury trial, and if the prosecutor and a court agree, you can have a non-jury trial. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to have the prosecuting attorney prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty and you do not have to prove anything. You have the right to be present at trial and have witnesses against you appear at your trial and to ask those witnesses questions. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses you have for your defense to appear at the trial. You have the right to remain silent during your trial and not to have your silence used against you. However, you also have the right to testify at your trial if you want to testify. Do you understand that if I accept your plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, you're giving up the right to any appeal issues that otherwise would be appealable had you been convicted at trial? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that any appeal from this plea would be pursuant to application for leave to appeal and not by right? Do you understand that?
What's that mean?
So if you had gone to jury trial and been convicted, you have an automatic right to appeal to the Court of Appeals in the Michigan Supreme Court. But if you enter a plea, whether it be guilty or not guilty by reason of insanity, you have to petition for that appeal.
Okay.
Okay. And are you a citizen of the United States of America?
I was going to Clear Hospital.
Okay, good. All right, I'm not going to go to that. Do you have any questions about the rights that I've given to you?
No.
All right. So, sir, it's my understanding that today you wish to enter a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you understand the ramifications of that plea?
Yeah, it means I was insane. Yeah.
Right. And you've talked to your attorneys about that? Is that the plea you wish to enter today?
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone threatened you or made any promises to you to get you to enter that plea?
No.
Okay. All right. Do you understand if I accept that plea, you'll be giving up any and all claims that your plea is given as a result of promises or threats that were not disclosed to the court on the record during this hearing, or that it was not your own choice to enter the plea? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Is the prosecutor or defense counsel aware of any promises or threats or inducements other than him entering this plea that would cause him to enter this plea today? Ms. Arnold?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Malaro?
No, Judge.
Mr. Murphy?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And is it your own choice to plead not guilty by reason of insanity?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Arnold?
Your Honor, I'm not sure if we have to advise him that as a result of the plea, he will be committed to the Center for Forensic Psychiatry for evaluation.
Do you have a proposed order done yet? Because I thought it was part of the packet, so order.
I thought we filed one yesterday.
So hold on. I got it. Just pull it up. Okay, so let me pull it up. Order for evaluation, finding an order. That's competency, so. Is it MCR 2.0?
It's MC 207.
That's what I thought.
I do have an example.
I can pull up an example. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to go through some of the rights on that form with you as well, okay? So do you understand that if I accept this plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, you will be committed to the custody of the Center for Forensic Psychiatry for a period not to extend through 60 days, and we will have reviews on that. Do you understand that?
Yeah. I talked to the psych, he said it was gonna be much longer than that, so it wasn't.
Probably.
Yeah.
So what, so I volunteered there for many years at the Forensic Center. So basically what will happen is you'll go to the Center for Forensic Psychiatry. They will evaluate you, continue to work with you. They'll issue a report after 60 days. There are people.
My medicine and everything.
Right. There are some people that spend the rest of their life there. There are some people that once they deem they're medicated and not a threat to society, maybe move to Kalamazoo to a different psychiatric hospital. And potentially one day, possibly, could be soon, it could be later. I have no authority over that. If they decide you're not a threat to society or yourself, you could be released through the probate court. Do you understand that?
The probate court.
So the probate court is another judge that handles probate matters regarding competency, guardianship, and mental health. Anything to add to that, Ms. Arnold?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied, Ms. Arnold?
I am.
Okay, do you understand all of that?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Arnold, you ready to proceed?
I am. And I'm sorry, I have kind of a lengthy recitation from the report and the report from the Center for Forensic Psychiatry. This comes from Lenawee County Sheriff's Office Report 240005-463-001, which is stipulated exhibit number 2. From that report, on May 13th, 2024, Deputy Gowans from the Lenawee County Sheriff's Office was dispatched to 4800 East Yankee Road in Ogden Township, Lenawee County, state of Michigan. The 911 caller said her grandpa was hit in the head with a brick. When Deputy Gowans went there, he located the defendant, Kevin Tursky, a half mile from the residence, walking down East Yankee Road with fresh blood on his wrist. Deputy Gowans made contact with Teresa Fike, who was the victim, or the wife of the victim, Jerry Fike. Teresa Fike indicated she found Jerry Fike laying on the ground with injuries and his head covered in fresh blood. She told Deputy Gowans she heard the driveway alarm go off. She saw Kevin Tursky going through the yard. She went outside to find Jerry and found him on the ground, injured and not moving with a brick on his head. She told her granddaughter, Alexis Smith, to call 911. She said she immediately thought Kevin Tursky, the defendant in this matter, assaulted Jerry because he said in the past he was going to go after him. Officer Gowans examined the scene and stated it appeared Kevin Tursky, the defendant in this matter, struck the victim Jerry Fike in the head with an unknown object or was slamming his head down on the ground and cement slab repeatedly. Deputy Gowans interviewed the defendant at the Lucas County Sheriff's Office after taking him into custody close to the scene and reading him his Miranda warnings. During the interview, defendant referred to Jerry Fike as the, quote, blood guy, end quote. The defendant indicated he was on the property and Jerry yelled at him to leave. The defendant said Jerry tried to take a metal rod out of the gate to stab him, but it was stuck. The defendant stated he believed Jerry Fike was going to get a gun to shoot him, but he never said Jerry Fike made any threats towards him. The defendant said he hit Jerry Fike with a closed fist, and the spirit Buddha, capital B-U-T-T-A, sent a beam through his hand and it hit Jerry harder. He said he put Jerry onto the ground and put the brick on his head and also kicked him. The report shows Detective Kevin Greca made contact with Teresa Fike at Toledo Hospital, where Jerry Fike was transported from the scene for treatment of his injuries. Detective Greca spoke with Nurse Claire Awada from Toledo Hospital there, who informed him Jerry had 3 broken ribs on the left, 4 broken ribs on the right, numerous facial lacerations, a right orbital fracture, and bleeding on the brain. Deputy Gowans noted Jerry Fike died on May 19th, 2024, 6 days afterwards. He obtained a copy of autopsy report, which indicated the cause of death was blunt head trauma from 6 days ago. The autopsy report indicated the injury occurred from an assault, and the manner of death was listed as, quote, homicide-assaulted, end quote. I believe that would establish a sufficient factual basis for the charges in count 1 of the information.
Mr. Malaro or Mr. Murphy, any additions, objections?
Your Honor, we have no additions or corrections to add to that factual basis. We would believe that would establish factual basis.
Okay. All right.
And other facts can be gleaned from the exhibit, which has been admitted. The people will also put on the factual basis for the NGRI plea itself, showing the defendant's lack of criminal responsibility. This comes from exhibit number 4, portions of exhibit number 4, the report of Dr. Sarasny. In that report, under criminal responsibility opinion, Dr. Sarasny states, referring to the charged offense, it is my opinion Mr. Tursky was clearly mentally ill at the time of his alleged conduct. Mr. Tursky had a longstanding history of serious mental illness and is diagnosed with bipolar disorder with psychosis. He has been psychiatrically hospitalized numerous times due to symptoms of acute mania and psychosis. Mr. Tursky was psychiatrically hospitalized at Mercy Health St. Charles from April 2nd to 2024. He was referred by Unison Health for involuntary admission due to delusional and bizarre behavior. Mr. Tursky told the nurse he had not slept in 4 days and had low appetite. He was disheveled and malodorous and appeared to be internally distracted and was talking to himself, saying he could, quote, see people's energy, end quote. Mr. Tursky was agitated and aggressive toward emergency department staff and believed a cartel was after him. He required chemical restraints to calm down. Emergency department notes indicate he had reported some consumption of cannabis and opioids, but was not described as intoxicated upon admission. He was on medication-assisted treatment, Suboxone, for opioid dependence. Mr. Tursky's symptoms improved over the course of treatment with antipsychotic and mood-stabilizing medications. Mr. Tursky said he had not taken his prescribed psychotropic medication from the time he was discharged from St. Charles on April 29 through the day of the alleged incident offense on May 13, 2024. Responding officers found Mr. Tursky in a manic and psychotic state, rambling incoherently, and making bizarre claims such as, among other things, believing Mr. Fike's granddaughter was being raped because he could feel it in his anus, and that he believed he was using a walkie-talkie that was in fact a lighter. It was clear he was not aware of his actions at the time. As a result of his mental illness, it is my opinion Mr. Tursky lacked substantial capacity to appreciate the nature and quality and the wrongfulness of his conduct. Mr. Tursky's description of his mental state at the time is consistent with observations made by responding officers and jail staff upon his arrest. Descriptions of Mr. Tursky's behavior suggest he was acutely symptomatic and out of touch with reality. For example, he was found speaking into a lighter, believing it was a walkie-talkie, told the officer he could, quote, feel, end quote, Mr. Fike's granddaughter being sexually assaulted because of the feelings in his anus, and that Mr. Fike came back to life after he left their house with the dogs. Although he claimed to have acted in self-defense, it is my opinion Mr. Tursky's understanding of reality at the time was severely impaired to the degree he could not appreciate the nature and quality of the wrongfulness of his actions. To summarize, it is my opinion Mr. Tursky was mentally ill at the time of the alleged incident offense. It is also my opinion as a result of his mental illness, he lacks substantial capacity to appreciate the nature and quality and the wrongfulness of his conduct. It is therefore my opinion Mr. Tursky meets statutory requirements for a defense of insanity. And I believe that makes up the factual basis for the for him being not guilty by reason of insanity at the time of the charge conduct.
Your Honor, we would have no issues with the taking of that report. There were no additions or, corrections with the report. We believe that would satisfy the basis for that as well.
Mr. Malaro?
Nothing further to.
Anything else before I make any findings?
No, thank you.
And Mr. Malaro and Mr. Murphy, I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy, you stipulate to the admission of people's exhibits 1 through 4?
Yes, Your Honor, we're stipulated to the minutes of all those exhibits.
All right, so based on the information placed on the record by the prosecutor, as well as the information contained in exhibit 1, 2, 3, and 4, the court will accept the plea of not guilty by reason of insanity entered willingly by the defendant, and that on May 13th of 2024 in Ogden Township in the county of Lenawee, that the defendant did commit the offense of homicide, open murder under MCL 750.316. Assault occurred upon Jerry Fike with a brick, which resulted in his death. The forensic report, the death was verified by the coroner's report that is dated May 20th of 2024, signed by Dr. Thomas Bloomquist and Jeffrey Hudson, MDs. We also have a forensic report dated December 2nd of 2024. Ms. Arnold did read through that, but to further just repeat, to summarize, Dr. Aaron Ceresny, Ceresnie, found that, in his opinion, Mr. Tursky was mentally ill at the time of the alleged incident offense. It is also his opinion, as a result of his mental illness, he lacks substantial capacity to appreciate the nature and quality and wrongfulness of his conduct. It is therefore the doctor's opinion that Mr. Tursky meets the statutory requirements for a defense of insanity, and therefore I do accept the plea. Any other findings today before I go on to the order that I printed off, Ms. Arnold?
Judge, we would just ask the court to find that the assault was either by a brick or in another manner that led to Jerry Fike's death, because the investigation showed it could have been a brick, it could have been him hitting his head on the ground, or it could have been with fists and that sort of thing, and he landed on the ground.
Right. And there was, I'm sorry, I didn't read it. There was a statement that his head had been hit into the cement, so it could have been caused either by the brick or the blow with the cement below. So the record should reflect that Mr. Tursky has raised his hand. So Mr. Tursky, you entered this plea. I don't want you to say anything on the record until you speak to your attorney.
Judge, it's just that Mr. Tursky maintains that the injuries Mr. Fike sustained was from the fall and not from being
Fell face first.
All right, but we're entering a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. So
I'm sorry.
nope, okay.
There's no dispute as to what caused Mr. Tursky caused Mr. Fike's death.
Okay. Okay, so can I move on to the order?
Yes.
So Ms. Arnold, on the order, it asks for CTN/TCN number. Those are two different numbers in this file. Should I use the TCN number or the CTN number?
Oh, that's a good question. Judge, if you want, we can submit an order.
I just printed it up.
How
about if I write it below?
Okay,
So that way we have both.
sounds good.
Okay, so I'll do that. Get a pen. All right, so I'm gonna write TCN above it. All right, so I've written the TCN number above. Okay, very good. So the court at this time has prepared a commitment order for a not guilty by reason of insanity. I filled in the information for Mr. Tursky. I marked the box that, well, it's count 1, homicide, open murder, statutory short form 750.316. Number 1, I marked the box pled, not guilty of the offense charged by reason of insanity. I'm going to order that the defendant is committed to the custody of the Center for Forensic Psychiatry for a period not to exceed 60 days. The center shall thoroughly examine and evaluate the present mental condition of the defendant in order to reach an opinion on whether defendant meets the legally established criteria of a person requiring treatment or judicial admission. Within 60 days from the date of this order, the Center for Forensic Psychiatry shall file a written report with the court, defense counsel, and prosecuting official in accordance with the mental health code. If defendant is subsequently hospitalized as a person requiring treatment or by judicial admission as defined in the mental health code, defendant shall not be discharged or placed on leave without first being evaluated and recommended for discharge or leave by the Center for Forensic Psychiatry. I have marked the box for 6A. The sheriff shall transport defendant to the Center for Forensic Psychiatry. You'll be held at the jail until that occurs. The clerk of the court shall send to the Center for Forensic Psychiatry a settled record of facts concerning the offenses which defendant was found to have committed but was acquitted. So do you want me to attach your exhibits to this?
Exhibits 1 through 4, and then copy the transcript of the plea.
And a transcript of today?
Yes.
So that's going to take a while to send that because we're backed up on transcripts. So I will send this and with a note that we will forward that. Oh, there's a habitual offender too. Thank you, Ms. Adams. Good catch. So it looks like there's a habitual offender notice on the felony information. I did not put that in. So Ms. Adams caught that and she put it in. So there we go. So I'm going to sign her order and not mine. So the clerk of the court shall send the Michigan State Police copy of this order and they will enter it into lien in accordance with MCL 769-16B. And we will send exhibits 1 through 4, and then it can take up to 60 days for a transcript. And once we receive that transcript, we will provide that as well. Correct, Ms. Spade?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So anything else we need to address on the record tonight?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so I thank everybody that came here today. You know, obviously, this is again a failure of our mental health system in the United States. And I regret your loss. I can't even imagine what you're going through. And thank you. Court's in recess.
Thank you.
Recess.